So last night, we had a bonfire at my house, like usual.
I wasn't there.
At the bonfire spot.
Yeah.
We were all out there. My dad came out, hanging out. Cooper and Rusty were out there and everything. All of a sudden, we see this light coming from, like, over on the other side of the horse farm, like by the street.
Yeah.
And we go, oh shit, here we go again. We're gonna get yelled at by somebody for making too much noise or not being on my property or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
Even though we're on my property, I know we are because I looked at a map this time, so I didn't have to move those fucking benches again.
Oh, that was awful.
So this guy comes like stumbling across the farm field and like comes through the thorn bushes that are like purposely grown upward so people can't do that. Like I made them grow like a fence.
Yeah.
Like I kind of hung them in tree branches and stuff. And all of a sudden he's like tearing through that. And he comes over and he's like, hey, what's going on? And he's smoking a cigarette. And he throws the cigarette in the fire and he sits down.
Okay.
And I'm like, hello.
Hello, stranger.
Who the fuck
Just
is
random
this?
man joins the party?
He's like, you can call me random drunk guy. I was like, okay.
Random drunk guy
All
joins
right.
the battle.
No.
Yeah.
He wanted himself to be called. That was the first one. Then he went, no. You can just call me drunk old man. He's like, you can call me drunk old man. And we're like, okay. And he had like a fucking glass of brandy in his hand. And all of a sudden he starts talking about like weed farming. He's like, I am a nighttime weed farmer. Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay. And he's like ranting about all this random fucking crap that I have no idea what he's talking about. And he has, his headlamp isn't like a normal headlamp. It was like a giant mining light bulb. Like a huge old light bulb.
Like a huge headlamp?
Like
the
huge.
old one?
But it's duct taped to a regular hat brim. With two wires running over the hat brim, down his back, clamped to two DeWalt batteries he had shoved in his belt.
Interesting, man.
And he turned it on and off by hooking the wire up. I was like, what the fuck? And he had the headlamp on for the first 20 minutes he was there.
I want one of those.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? And he's asking me and my dad all kinds of like questions and stuff. And then he's there for like an hour.
Oh.
Like just bullshitting and
Very
talking.
casual.
I was like, what the hell? And then at the end, he's like, yeah, my heater's out over at my house, so I'm freezing cold next to my dog laying in bed with 4 blankets on. And, I saw a fire going up here, come over here. I live 10 miles down the road that way.
10 miles.
I was like,
He
10 miles?
He doesn't live 10 miles.
I was like, what the fuck? And he's like, yeah, I got a big 14-acre weed farm. No. If you see a bamboo fence, it's me. I was like, okay. And then he like
casual.
Talked to he's like, what are you gonna be? What are you doing? What do you do? Construction? I was like, nah, I'm going to college. I'm gonna be a mechanical engineer. I'm gonna make the blueprints that construction guys look at. And he's like, oh yeah, fuck you. I was like, okay. He's like, yeah, I always have to look at those. He's like, I always have to look at those damn blueprints. You guys don't make no sense. And I was like, all right.
Yeah, you guys don't make any sense at all.
I was like, okay.
And he's telling you to do better.
He was like, what did your dad do? And I was like, Dad, do you want to explain? And I slowly tried to like creep away. As Cooper's like cowering in the corner from this man because Cooper doesn't like him at all.
I don't blame him.
But he was talking to my dad for like 40 minutes about I don't know what. My dad just, like when the guy left, my dad was like, who the fuck was that? And I was like, I don't know.
Your guess is just as good as mine.
But that's not all. The thing that made him leave was another headlamp person coming across the field screaming his name at the top of their lungs at like 1 in the morning.
Get that fire!
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? And he turned his headlamp back on to like point it over there and like signal. I was like, what the fuck?
He's bringing his posse, bro. They've been dead for 150 years, and they just came back from the mine
But
shaft.
he was like scraggly beard all
Yep.
over. His hair was like long as hell, and, like that blackish gray color. With that kind of headlamp, like both of them had headlamps, and he had like one of those DeWalt like little handheld lights.
Yeah.
Kind of seemed like he was out there like robbing houses, and the questions he was asking kind of seemed like, you can't see this house from the road, can you? And we were like, no. And he's like, oh, yeah, how long you live here? And we were like, a while. He's like, oh yeah, cool. What kind of tools you got? What kind of tools you use? And we were like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my story.